Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with thousands of True School Sports subscribers on Google Hangout. Hold on a second, guys. Before I start, I need to get my computer charger because my computer's dying. But while I'm putting my charger in, let me just say that I'm here to recap. I'm not recap. I'm here to break down the Andre Berto versus Victor Ortiz fight that'll be taking place this Friday, and it's the inaugural card on PBC on Fox, and it's going to be a good fight. I don't necessarily believe I'm not high on either one of these fighters. To me, they're both C-class fighters in their heyday, in their prime. They're lower B-level fringe B-level fighters, but for the most part, C-class guys that will be gatekeepers at welterweight and will not pick up any world titles against top world-class opposition. But with that being said, I think it's going to be a good fight. Their styles mesh really well. Their first fight was really exciting. And I think that regardless of where these two guys are at in their careers at this point in time, that this fight has a chance to be really good. Just because of the style matchup and that they're really on par with each other. So we're gonna get into all that as I go through this video, and I'll be breaking down and make my predictions for all the other fights. So you guys stay tuned for those videos coming out as well. I got the Gale fight to do and the Badu Jack Butte fight. So I'll be doing that card as well. So stay tuned for that video, as well as Crawford Postal, Thurman Porter, all these great fights here coming up. So as far as this fight goes, looking at the tail of the tape, we'll start with Victor Ortiz on one side. He's 29 years old at the moment. Southpaw, 70-inch reach. Record is 31-5 with 24 KOs, and he's just had his return fight, his comeback fight in late 2015, and he won. So he's not a very active fighter. I think he's fought like 5 times in the last 3 or 4 years. For Berto, that's much the same case. So like I said, they're very similar, not just as far as the class of fighter they are, but as far as also their careers. Their careers are very similar just because neither of them really stays active. These aren't the kind of guys that fight 2 to 4 times a year. It's really one and done, and that's it. So he's the younger fighter, the guy with the longer reach. And that's what Ortiz is bringing into the table from a physical standpoint coming into this fight. Berto, he's 32 years old, coming into this fight, fighting out of the orthodox stance, brings a 68.5-inch reach with him, and his record stands at 30-4 with 23 knockouts. So off the rip, physically speaking, Ortiz has the advantages in age. He got the advantages in reach. So I think those are going to be really big advantages for him, simply just because he's always had better stamina than Berto anyway, which is why I feel like he was able to win the last fight. But Berto never had great stamina, never had the tightest of defense. So I think Ortiz, even though I don't know. Well, actually, they're the same level of active. I was going to say Berto is more active than Ortiz, but then I realized Ortiz fought in December. Berto fought in September, so actually Ortiz technically is the more active fighter at this point because his fight was more recent. But I think Ortiz has the physical advantages to really exploit Berto, and if he's able to go in there and fight his game plan, I think he can come out with a dominant performance and set himself up for a couple of good paydays coming up. But let's just recap. When they fought each other the first time, Ortiz defeated Andre Berto, who was a very hot prospect at the time, had lightning fast hands. Really exciting was I think at that time he had beaten the likes of Steve Upshur Chambers, guys of that nature. Berto was able to put a thwart in, or Ortiz I should say, was able to put a thorn in Berto's plans, because had he won that fight, he would have gotten the Mayweather fight back in like 2009 or whatever. And obviously now you guys seen it just last year that Mayweather finally decided to fight Berto, and he's way past his prime. But that fight was initially supposed to happen in 2009 when Berto was on the come up as a prospect. So there's a history between these two. They don't really like each other, which is another reason why I think this fight has a chance to be really good. In boxing today, it's really seldom that you see two guys have a genuine disdain, a genuine dislike for each other. And this is one of those rare occasions. And I think that's why it's going to be a good fight. But yeah, the last 5 fights, which have spanned over the last 3 to 4 years, in the last 5 fights, Berto is 2-3, and Ortiz is also 2-3. So I wanted to just kind of go through their resumes real quick. I remember some of it off the top of my head. I don't remember all of it, but I know Berto lost to Mayweather pretty easily last year. Ortiz, and then he lost to he was getting outboxed by Josecito Lopez, who's really a true 140-pound fighter. He brought up to 147 pounds, and he was able to get a pretty controversial stoppage. But I'm gonna go through the resumes right now. So we'll start with Ortiz. Last 5 fights, his last fight being his most recent one, he fought Gilberto Sanchez Leon. That was his comeback fight. He got a TKO on that one. He beat Manuel Perez, who's a career journeyman. That was 2014. His comeback fight was December 2015, so he had a year layoff in between that time. Before that, he fought Luis Collazo in January 2014. He got KO'd by Luis Collazo, another career, lower B, upper C class fighter. Got stopped by Josecito Lopez, and he had the KO against Floyd Mayweather. So he's proven to be very chinny in the past. He got, like I said, stopped by Collazo, stopped by Mayweather. So Ortiz doesn't really possess a great chin. But yeah, 2-3 in his last 5 fights with him being knocked out 2 times. Berto, on the other hand, he's fought his last fight being against Mayweather, he got outboxed. He beat Josecito Lopez via TKO. He also had a unanimous decision against Steve Upshur Chambers. And then, he had 2 losses to, one being a TKO loss to Jesus Soto Karass and Robert Guerrero via unanimous decision. So, as you can see, these guys have lost to some, other C-class guys, lower B guys, and none of them really had the skills to get to the top level. They didn't have the skills or that one intangible or attribute that could set them apart and get them to the top level. But like I said, their styles mesh really well, and they make for great fights. It was one of those occasions. And correction on what I said about Andre Berto, he didn't beat Steve Upshur Chambers as he was coming up. He beat Steve Forbes. So I just wanted to correct that before anybody goes in the comments. But anyway, when you look at the resumes, the best fighter Andre Berto beat was Jan Zevic. Jan Zevic, another career C-class fighter. Ortiz, his best one was against probably Nate Campbell or Andre Berto. Undefeated Andre Berto. So Berto already, like I said, in his prime, a lower B class fighter, and Nate Campbell, a good fighter. I'd say he's solid B. So with that being said, I think you'd have to say that stylistically speaking, skillfully speaking, and just resume in general, that you think you give Ortiz a slight advantage over Berto. I give Ortiz a slight advantage over Berto, but you never know. You never really know in fights like this. This is gonna be a good action fight. I think the difference in this fight will be who really came in prepared as far as conditioning goes. Berto, he can punch. He can punch. Ortiz can punch 2%. Berto can punch. So for Ortiz, I think that the key for him is going to be that jab, staying away from Berto, eliminating as many inside, activity and engagement with Berto as possible. He can fight on the inside a little bit too, but Berto is clearly the better inside fighter. The uppercut by Berto is an amazing, it's probably his best punch. His most devastating punch is his uppercut. So the more he avoids engaging on the inside, the more he's going to be able to avoid the uppercut. Obviously, with Ortiz being a southpaw, the straight left is very, very important. And if he's able to land that, find his distance, find some confidence with that early and often, he can really beat Berto. Berto's an older guy now. This is not the Berto that was coming up. This is not the Berto that is supremely confident. I mean, this is a Berto that's paid, that's gotten his money, that's might be a little bit more content than he was when he was younger. When you're younger, you always have a little bit more hunger. This Berto is probably going to be a little bit different. I know he wants to avenge that loss, but you just never know. When the contract is signed and the check's coming in, you get hit a couple of times. You have some of these fights have a tendency to mail in. For Berto, I think if he can get the win, it's gonna do wonders for him for his career. He's not really, like I said, he's a career C-class fighter. Good fighter, but a career upper C-class fighter. Upper C-class, lower B-class fighter. If he's able to win this fight, it's going to extend what's been a very, I'm going to say a career where he's overachieved. Based on his skill set, I believe he's overachieved in his career. So I know some people out there might say he's underachieved. I believe he's overachieved. The winner of this fight will probably wind up fighting either Danny Garcia or the winner of Porter Thurman. And that'd be great because you win this fight. You're getting a good payday. You're gonna be on Fox. You're gonna get a lot of exposure. If the fight is anything like the first one, these guys both have a chance to become household names just because you're fighting on Fox. And PBC's had some good fights, but I don't think PBC has really had like that one fight where you say, damn, like that was an incredible fight. I mean, you've had a couple, but they weren't by guys who you would consider like big names. Berto and Ortiz kind of have already a name because they fought Mayweather, so people know who they are. But if they're able to have a great fight this time, it's gonna build them up even more. Now, other PBC fights that were good, Cleverly and Fanfara was really good. Golovkin and Huck was great, but like I said, those aren't big names here in the States. These guys already have names in the States, so they can actually have a chance to build themselves up even more. But anyway, the winner of this fight's going to get probably Garcia or the winner of Thurman Porter. And, Berto, I know, has stated many times that he believes that he can really do some damage at 147. I don't believe that he's going to beat the upper class guys. I think fighting the guys like Ortiz is where, he has his best chance to win. But I respect his competitiveness. That's why I watch the fights, to see if he can do what he says he believes he can do. Now, if Berto is to win this fight, and he does fight a guy like Garcia, I think that's his best chance to win. Because, even not even just Garcia, even a guy like Thurman. I think Thurman has skills, right? But let's not take anything away from Thurman. Thurman has skills. But Berto knows Thurman. Thurman has proven to be a bit, chin. He doesn't have the best chin. You can hit him with a body shot, as we saw what Collazo did. So all that being taken into account, stylistically speaking, Garcia, I scratch what I said about Garcia. Garcia's not a good match for Berto. Neither is really Porter, because Porter has more skills than Berto and can box on his back foot if he has to. But Thurman versus Berto, that's a good fight just because of the vulnerabilities Thurman has shown. I think Berto, knowing Thurman, that plays a major key. That could be a good fight because that play a major key. So if Berto wins this fight, I wouldn't mind seeing that. And as far as Ortiz goes, I think Ortiz could give Garcia a run for his money because he packs a good punch. He can box a little bit. I would like to see him probably get a fight in between this one, maybe just to keep his conditioning up. But I think Garcia Ortiz could be a solid fight. But really, I don't see any of these guys challenging, getting a title of any of the one of the top welterweights. I just think this is going to be a great fight. Berto has had a history in the past, regardless of who his trainer is, regardless of who he has in his camp, to have bad training camps. He's come in, not preparing at his best, lazy. I've heard Virgil Hunter said it himself, and if you watched the Mayweather-Berto All Access, Virgil Hunter said it himself. When I first got him as a fighter, he was unmotivated and he was lazy. So he got his payday against Mayweather. It's very likely that even though he's fighting Ortiz, he could revert back to those same habits. It's very likely. And if that's the case, I got Ortiz blowing this dude out. I think Ortiz can beat him because Ortiz really looks hungry. Ortiz looks like a guy that wants to actually do something in boxing again. And not just that, he's got the age factor on the side. He's got a couple of physical advantages on the side. So, I mean, prediction-wise, give me my prediction. I got to go Ortiz. I think being that he's a southpaw And I don't think Berto has the skills or the tools to deal with a guy that has not just longer reach than him, younger than him, but I think Ortiz is gonna take him into those later rounds. You're gonna see Berto fade like he tends to do, and I think he's gonna have a chance to either stop Berto or just cruise his way to a decision, because Berto doesn't move his head a lot, doesn't like to really implement any sort of defensive strategy. So unless Berto just becomes this new fighter overnight, I'm going with Ortiz. But it's going to be a good fight. I expect a lot of entertainment. And, it doesn't have a huge impact on the welterweight division, but it can have an impact on the landscape of, like, the top welterweights and who they might fight next. That's really it. But I'm looking forward to a good fight. To be honest, it's not the most interesting fight to me just because I know where these guys are at this point in their career. Most people view Berto as a shot fighter. Most people view Ortiz as a shot fighter. I think Ortiz has a little bit left in the tank. Berto has very little left in the tank, to be honest with you, I believe, because I didn't really see a whole lot in that Floyd fight. I just saw a bunch of double jabs, him following Floyd around the ring and not really trying to cut the ring off. Didn't really throw his uppercut at all. Didn't move his head, didn't try to work on the inside. Just not a whole lot from Berto in that fight. And if you can't fight your ass off on the biggest stage against Floyd Mayweather, I don't really know what to say when you're fighting a guy like Victor Ortiz. Even though there is animosity there, and he could get up for it, it's just I don't see it, man. I'm not really a big fan of Berto and his his character. I think he could be a lot better. His skills just aren't there, and he's older now. He's not the Berto from of old. So maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll be right. But who cares? We'll watch the fights anyway. We'll enjoy them. But let me know what you guys think. Berto versus Ortiz 2. It'll be this Friday on PBC on Fox. Who do you got winning and why? And who do you think comes away with a W? Leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.